Hi, friends. Good morning. Today is a very, very exciting day. Today is the day that we get to talk about why we celebrate Easter, why the resurrection, what it all means, and how important it is to our faith. Okay. So, up until this point, and yesterday we reviewed a lot, right? Jesus was put on trial. He was arrested first, put on trial. Wait, before all of that, they had their Last Supper. He announced to the disciples what was going to happen. Someone betrayed him. He was arrested, put on trial, beaten, right? He wasn't treated very kindly. Then they hung him, they nailed him to a cross. And then from that moment, he had already told them what was going to happen, but the disciples kind of didn't understand what was going on up until everything kind of started playing out. And they were deeply, deeply saddened and heartbroken with the things that happened because they couldn't really understand why exactly they were doing something to a person who had done nothing wrong. It was very hard to believe for them. So we're going to jump right in. And this story you can read about in Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, which is the four gospels in the Bible, and also in First Corinthians, you can find this story. I'm going to jump right in and start reading, okay? Jesus was dead, and his followers were very, very sad. Tearfully, Mary Magdalene and some of her friends went to see Jesus' tomb early on Sunday morning to finish wrapping his body in spices and more strips of cloth. This was the usual way for Jewish people to bury their dead. Right away, the woman could see that the large stone that was covering the entrance was rolled back, okay, so kind of like moved. They went into the tomb, but they didn't see the body of Jesus. While they were wondering what could have happened to the Lord's bodies, angels dressed in shining white clothing appeared to them. The women became very terrified. Could you imagine angels appearing? And you're like, what's going on? This is not how it looked the last time we were here. There was a body. Jesus was here. Did someone steal it? They probably had so many questions. What's going on? Why are you looking for a living person in a tomb? Asked an angel. He is not here, but he is risen, friends. Remember that he told you that he had to be arrested, crucified, and on the third day he was going to rise again. He told them this already. Then the women did remember, and at once they ran to tell all of the disciples that Jesus was alive. After hearing what the woman had to say, Peter ran to the tomb. He wanted to see it for himself. When he looked inside, he saw the strips of cloth that were once covering Jesus, his body, and he saw that Jesus' body wasn't there. Where could he be? Peter wondered. Could he really actually be alive? Mary Magdalene was still very upset. She met a man standing in the garden near the empty tomb. It was Jesus, but she didn't recognize him yet. The man asked her, "Woman, why are you crying?" Mary replied, "Because someone has taken away the body of my Lord, and I don't know where he is." Then Jesus said to her, "Mary," right at that moment, and Mary recognized him. It must have been in the way that he said her name, or there was something that he did that made her recognize him right away, because up until then she was already talking to him and she didn't know it was him. It was Jesus. He was alive. Later that day, two men who were believers in Jesus were walking along a road to a village called Emos. Can you guys say that word? Emos. While they talked about all the things that had happened to Jesus, a third person caught up to them and he began walking with them. I wonder who that third person was. The two believers in Jesus didn't know it yet, but they were actually walking with Jesus himself. They just didn't recognize him. Jesus joined the men for supper that night. At the supper table, Jesus said a prayer and he blessed the food. All at once, they recognized who he was. Jesus was alive. The two men ran back to Jerusalem where they found the disciples and they shared the wonderful news. As they were sharing, Jesus himself appeared. He showed the disciples that he was really alive. In the days that followed, Jesus appeared many times to comfort and encourage the believers. During one of these times, over 500 people actually saw Jesus with their own eyes. So it wasn't just someone saying they saw him or one person or two people. This was actually over 500 people that saw him. Jesus told the disciples to spread the good news to all the people in the world. So he left them kind of with a job to do, right? And that was to spread the good news to all the people in the world. He wanted everyone to know that he took the punishment for their sins by dying on the cross that day that he did. If they would believe in him, they would live with him and his Father forever in heaven. Wow, friends. Isn't that an amazing ending to such a it's kind of a sad story, right? On Wednesday when we talked about it, it was kind of heavy. It was heavy and it was kind of it was sad, and we just if you don't know that there's a good part from all that comes from all of this, then it's a sad story. But it really isn't a sad story. This is the best part. The fact that he overcame death. He didn't just die and that was the end of his story. Actually, it was just the beginning, because he rose again on the third day and he lives forever. He overcame it. That means death doesn't do anything to Jesus. Death doesn't scare him. He overcame it. He died and then he came back to life. That's how powerful our God is, friends. How amazing is that? That's the God that we serve. That's the God that we love, and he loves us and wants a relationship with us. Wow, friends. Well, I want to let you know that today is a very exciting day. Remember, I mentioned to you yesterday in our first grade Zoom party that we were going to have no work today. The only thing that you have to do today is focus on what a beautiful story this is, and the way that it ends is just a message full of hope and lots of love, the way that Jesus sacrificed for us, right? And just have so much fun. There's going to be directed drawings, there's going to be egg dyeing, there's going to be a whole bunch of fun things planned for you today. So hopefully you guys have the arts and crafts and the supplies that you need to get to be able to participate in these. But if you don't, that's okay. You can do some today. You can do some over the weekend, or some you have all next week where you have a break from school that you can do however many. If you want to do all the crafts or the activities, you can do all of them. If you want to do just one or two, that's okay. If you want to do them like one day and then do them again another day, you can do whatever you'd like. All right, friends, I'm wishing you the best day today for our resurrections party. And we're going to all be having a good time and partying it up at home, but we'll still be all kind of doing it together. So there's still some kind of like unity in all of that, right? That we're all doing it together still. Okay, my friends, I will see you soon in our directed drawing. Bye.